Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Bob Power, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you've joined us for our next live presentation from Canadian North Resources, a Canadian exploration and development company focused on nickel, copper, cobalt, palladium, and platinum. Please note you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Sophie Caesar, Head of Corporate Development, and Dr. Trevor Boyd, Vice President of Exploration of Canadian North Resources, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol CNRSF and on the TSXV under the symbol CNRI. Welcome, Sophie and Trevor.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
It's good to be here.
So welcome, everyone. Trevor and I handle the presentation together. I will handle the more corporate aspects of it, and Trevor will dig into the technical. So as Bob mentioned, we are a late-stage exploration and development company, and we're exploring for base metals. So that is, as you can see here with the symbols, nickel, copper, cobalt, and the PGM groups, platinum, palladium, and rhodium. What you see here in the picture that is actually our project. That is Ferguson Lake. We may be making some forward-looking statements. I invite everyone to take a closer look and read this on our deck. So what makes Canadian North such an exciting project? We believe that it is everything that we've been able to accomplish since going public on the TSX venture in April of 2022. Shortly after going public, we released an updated 43-101, showing the potential for a high-grade open pit indicated mineral resource of 22.4 million tons and an inferred of an estimated 47.2 million tons, showing a great upside potential to take that inferred to indicated with further drilling. And further drilling we did. Last year, we completed an 18,144 meter drill program. And this year, we've taken on an aggressive 20,000 meter drill program, which we're just about done completing. We also, with last year's drilling, were able to expand the mineralized zone at Ferguson Lake from the west zone to east about 800 meters and the east zone west about 700 meters. So for a total of 1,500 meters. We also expanded our land package from 96.9 square kilometers to 256.8 square kilometers. Perfect. So some of you may not know, but we are located in Nunavut. And Nunavut is a small picture here, but you can see on the left is located in northern Canada. There are a lot of emerging, it's a very big emerging mining area. There are a lot of big players in the area, including Glencore and Agnico Eagle. As I previously mentioned, we also expanded our footprint. You can see the deep red on the right is our mining leases, and the lighter red around, those are our exploration claims. I'm going to take an opportunity here to mention that we have no NSRs on our property. We own it 100%. And I also like to talk about the relationship that we've built with the local community. We've managed to establish strong ties through communication and consultation. We have an excellent relationship with the Kilovak Inuit Association in the area. We hire from the local workforce. We also take ESG very serious. So we have a full-time wildlife monitor on site that monitors all of the wildlife in and around the camp. In terms of environment, we recycle all our waste. What's non-toxic, we burn, and everything else we ship out to accredited facilities. When I talk about that community and that buy-in that we receive, I like to talk about we just recently announced that we received for the second year in a row the DIG grant from the local government. That's a grant of $250,000 that we received in 2022. We received for 2022, and that we just received for 2023 for exploration from the local government. So I think that further speaks to the fact that they are behind what we're doing, and there is an appreciation and an acceptance for mining in the area, as well as from all the other large players that you see around in the smaller map. So our project is new to us, but it is not a new project by any means. It's significantly advanced. It was established in the 1950s by Inco, and more recently, it was owned by Starfield Resources in the early 2020. In the 2000s. Starfield Resources actually invested a significant amount of money in the project. There's been over $180 million invested in exploration, metallurgy, and infrastructure. There's been over 200,000 meters drilled in over 650 holes that have been completed. We believe that regardless of all this exploration, there's much potential beyond this. So one of my favorite slides that I love to talk about is our infrastructure. A lot of companies talk about excellent infrastructure, but Ferguson Lake is really a cut above the rest. It boasts an airstrip, 825-meter gravel airstrip that you can see on the top left. Right underneath that, you can see several buildings, and that provides housing for up to 55 people. So it can hold 4 drill crews and a full geo crew up there. We also have our own satellite network. Actually, Trevor is joining us from site right now himself, so he's able to log on and be part of this conference. All of the equipment that you see, the heavy equipment in this slide, we own that. We acquired that with the project. So we have heavy vehicles, we have snowmobiles, as well as a Bombardier Snowcat. We also have 2 full generators on site and a backup that could provide heating for year-round operations should we choose. We also have 5 drills on site that operate, 4 operate continuously. Those drills belong to us, so we don't have to wait to have drills brought in. We have them there, we have the crews, and we're able to drill at any time that we should choose. Now I'll hand it over to Trevor, and he can dig into the mineral resource and the more technical aspects.
The mineral resource is this is an independent mineral resource that was filed on the SADAR site, or the regulatorily filed by an independent evaluator in July 13th, 2022. This resource is important because it was a reevaluation of all the drilling and all the work that Starfield Resources completed up to 2012. And they themselves had filed a previous resource based on the same database in 2012. The difference for this one is that for the first time, we are incorporating the real value of the platinum and palladium in the project. And we have this opportunity now, partly because of the recent rise in the prices for platinum and palladium, but also because for the first time for this resource, we have been able to envision, or the modeler has been able to envision an open pit option for defining this resource. And that allowed us to incorporate a lot of still very good grade, but lower grade material. As a result of this, this resource here, as you can see here, we have about a total of about 24 million tons of indicated resource, and plus 47 million tons of inferred. And so this number represents an increase of about 70% of the previous defined resource in 2012, and and about 55% increase in metal content. You can see the parameters for, and sorry, on the slide, on the left side of that deck, you can see that image. You can see that all the parameters which that resource was defined, and you can take a look at that at your leisure and have questions if you want. This is some of the plans of the deposit, which was resource modeled and recently resource modeled. And one of the things that we came out of it was that when we were able to put this all in a three-dimensional image or three-dimensional reconstruction, we based on the metal contents and the tonnage, we were able to demonstrate that there is considerable open pit potential for increasing the open pit resource directly to the west of the west zone and east to the west zone, and the same thing on the east zone to the farther east. It also opened up some new areas for exploration, particularly to the south of the east zone, which itself can add value to the project. This is an image of the full what's called mineralized horizon. It is basically a large intrusion, basically a mafic, ultramafic intrusion that stretches for over 15 kilometers. And with our work, when we've been since filing that resource, we have been drilling those 18,000 meters, and the holes there shown on that image show where we've drilled. Basically, we're focusing on extending the size of the resource along strike at shallow depths, particularly to the west of the west zone there and to the east of the east zone. But also, we're working hard to drill what's called infill holes, which will allow us to give more confidence for the tonnage that we are defining, and this will be important for future development. So we're raising the amount of inferred into indicated resource. This is a kind of a busy slide, and you can look at this at leisure, but this just gives you an idea of some of the grades and tonnages which we've been intersecting at shallow depths in the past year. For example, up to 31 meters of 1.3% copper, 0.8% nickel, 0.09% cobalt, and as well about 2 grams per ton palladium and 0.29 grams per ton platinum. This is a very high grade, rich intersection, and it was intersected at less than 80 meters depth, and at over 31 meters. So that just gives you an example of some of the excellent results that we have generated in the past year. Again, this is just the same image again, but it sort of summarizes some of the mineralized zones which we are basically defining and developing. The west zone extension, what's called the 119 zone, which plunges to the southwest, and the east zone 1 and east zone 2. We are expanding long strike for all of those zones, but as well, we're testing down dip. All are open in those directions. With our drilling this year, we hope to be able to add additional zones to this body, particularly the central zone in the lake there, what's called the M zone and the anomaly 51 zone in these new areas of potential, mineral potential. We're also doing a lot of exploration in the surrounding area on the state claims, particularly basically taking surface samples of potentially gossinous and mineralized areas on the surface. We observed, particularly on the east of the mining lease there, where we were actually moved to drill in there to test this summer. In terms of metallurgical recovery, On the left-hand side of that column there, that gives that based on the original Starfield exploration in 2012. They filed a preliminary economic assessment report, and they managed to do some fair bit of metallurgical testing, whereupon they reported extremely good extraction rates for extraction percentages for nickel, copper, and cobalt, but they did not attempt to extract the palladium and platinum. So as a result, they did not realize the full value of the project. In the middle column there, we took those results of that survey because we inherited and benefited from all of Starfield's exploration and research. And we managed to extract some palladium and platinum as well, as shown in that column there. And these numbers here were all reviewed by our independent evaluator and as part of our 43-101 technical report. This shows a few comparisons to other explorers in the area. The most important ones, perhaps you might be aware of, is what's called what used to be called the Nora Resources Eagle's Nest project, which was sold to Wyloo, and I believe it's under Wyloo's name now, and for $617 million at the feasibility stage. And that project as well does not have road access at this time. On the top row there is a company called Chalice Mining Limited. That is an operator in Western Australia, and they have a project called the Julimar Nickel Copper PGE project, nickel copper cobalt PGE project, and much greater tonnage but much lower grade. We think that we have the blue sky potential to compare with them, and you can see their market cap of almost $2 billion.
Thank you, Trevor. I'll take over. Let's talk a little bit about our capital structure. So we're currently trading at 260 today. That gives us a market cap of 265 million. We consider ourselves a tightly held stock. We have just over 48 million shares that are free trading. The rest are in escrow or restricted. So how it works for the escrowed and restricted shares. Prior to going public, we raised a 20 million at 75 cents between 28 high net worth individuals. And then, as I mentioned, we went public in April of 2022 with a direct listing, and we raised 2.2 million at $1 between 277 investors, and that was in preferred shares. So the TSX Venture wanted us to convert those preferred shares into common shares upon listing under the same conditions as the founders, that is restricted and in escrow. So the way it works for Canadian North is that every 6 months, and for us that's April and October, 15% of the shares become free trading. I'll also take this opportunity to mention management and insiders own approximately 70%. And there's a lot of support that we receive from our board and our management. There were several press releases in the month of July. Our chairman did buy on the open market. And then one of our largest shareholders, one of the insiders, they actually exercised 1.4 million and change shares that brought in $2.1 million into the company. In terms of financing and money and cash flow, since going public in April, we raised $18 million. That's been in Canadian flow-through, regular flow-through and charity flow-through shares, as well as the exercise of those warrants. Speaking about warrants, we have all of our warrants are in the money. There's approximately I guess now we have, it's really tiny writing, guys, but we have what would be the equivalent of about 17, almost $18 million left in warrants. And those are in the money and they expire at December 29th of this year. So we fully expect that that will be exercised and there'll be an influx of cash into the company as well at that time. So let's talk a little bit about our team. So we have Dr. Trevor Boyd here with us. Trevor has over 30 years experience as a professional geologist. He's worked for Falconbridge, just to name Noranda, just to name a few. And Trevor's been working on the project with our CEO, Dr. Yang. They're actually both on site right now in Ferguson Lake. So I thank Trevor for making the time to join us. Dr. Yang, also over 30 years experience. He worked more recently with the Zijin Mining Group and was chairman and director of the Sprott Zijin joint venture. That brings us to our board. On our board, we have Mike Weeks. He was the founder of Angkor Gold. We also have Rick Brown. He manages the Sprott, the China desk at Sprott. And then our chairman and Ms. Yang, two of our largest shareholders. Mr. Shim is a Canadian global entrepreneur over 35 years. He has a significant amount of different business silos, from real estate to medical clinics in the US to a company that does here in Canada all the non-tin bottling for Coca-Cola Canada. So they're very supportive. We're happy to have them behind us, and they're supportive in our endeavors as well as financially. So to sum it up, our accomplishments to date. We went public with $22 million. We completed an update of a historical 43101, and we've done significant amount of drilling. By the end of this drill season, we're going to have completed 38,000 meters of drilling. The plan with that drilling is to update the 43101 with Canadian North drilling specifically. And that's going to be to take that inferred into indicated and to expand the resource. And then we expect that to be done towards the end of 2023, early 2024. And then we're going to move to a pre-feasibility study. So we believe that we're very well positioned as the world moves to clean energy and carbon neutrality. We believe that we're well positioned to meet the demands of that expected growth. Also considering the fact the geopolitical climate in many countries where we find these minerals, worldwide governments are looking for to source these minerals from countries such as Canada, where we have a geopolitical stable government, where we have strong environmental standards for mining. And many countries, I believe the US as well as Canada, have classified our metals and the PGMs as critical minerals for economic security. So we believe that with this world-class project in an extremely emerging mining friendly district puts us in the right place, and we're very excited to hit our milestones going forward. So Trevor and I would like to thank you. I invite you to go to our website. You can sign up to receive our updates, and we'll take questions now. But you can always email any further questions that you might have to the email on the screen. So one of our first questions, Trevor, was how much have we received in local grants, and do we expect to continue to receive them annually?
In total, over 2 years, we will have received $500,000 in local grants, and one of the criterion for that is to basically do the work as we do the exploration, and as well write a full report fully on the results and the activities, which we do. We are doing for the year. So as long as we keep doing that, we can keep on receiving these grants in future on an annual basis.
Thank you, Trevor. This is a great question. you discussed the infrastructure in place for Ferguson Lake. So we did touch on it, but Trevor, maybe you can talk about the closest town, the winter road, etc.
Yes, basically we have the site is 190 kilometers directly south of the village of Baker Lake, which is actually a sea link, and by barges, which is sea link to open ocean, and basically ships come in and out of there, out of Montreal and other locations, as so. And in terms of access, the access is through what's called a permitted trail, winter trail, which is used by snow track vehicles, which we use in certain times of the year, particularly in the springtime when the snowpack is thick enough to bring in bulk supplies, including bulk drilling supplies, containers, drill rods, salts, and core boxes, and other materials, and also to basically take out any waste that we cannot be burned, to be put onto the Sea Link ships and taken down to Montreal to be disposed in an accredited facility. So we do have access right now. We right now have a proposal to make a full winter road, which allows for the operation of road access for up to 6 months, and we have a proposal in to do that as part of our pre-feasibility start of our pre-feasibility work.
So the next question I'll go ahead and take. How much cash do we have on hand? So we have our financial reporting for Q2 is going to be out any day shortly, probably early next week. But just to give you an idea, I mean, we are going full tilt on site with 4 drills running, but we raised in the last 45 days, I'd say $8.7 million. So we'll have a clearer idea by next week, but cash is not an issue for Canadian North. And so that seems to be all the questions we have. If no one else has any questions, again, Trevor and I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. We're very excited to be able to introduce this story to the US. We're starting our US marketing program. So you guys are our first presentation. And again, please feel free to sign up on the website, and you can email any follow-up questions that you may have to investor@cnresources.com. So thank you, everyone.